I really, really wish people understood how important their words are.
So true, yeah.
Whether their external voice is being used or their internal voice is being used.
Hello, Enrich community. Welcome back to the show. This is your virtual bestie, Simran Adderley, and welcome back to the Rich Podcast, the show where we explore topics that inspire personal and professional growth. We have Maria Sideris back on the show. Maria, welcome back.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me back.
Thanks for coming here. So today's topic is all about self-talk. So we're going to be talking about self-talk, but just a little bit about Maria. She is a hypnotherapist, a counselor, and a Reiki master. And if you want to learn more about her, you can watch our other episodes together and also check out the description below. And so I think the right point here to start off this episode would be, how would you define self-talk and what role does it play in our lives, shaping our thoughts, our emotions, and everything else?
It's a great place to start.
Yeah, yeah.
So self-talk is our internal dialogue.
Yeah.
So, we are talking now, we have an external dialogue, our internal dialogue. And we all participate in it, whether you're aware of it or not. Some people say, I don't have an inner voice. Well, if you've ever been worried about something, you have an inner voice.
Yeah.
It might not be in words, it might be in pictures, it might be in a sense, but if you really start to pay attention to it, if you've ever tried to give out change or solve any kind of problem, that's your inner voice, that's your inner dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so would you say it could be positive and negative?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. It's our chatter that goes on and on and on, and it could also be, our problem solver.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not healthy is when it takes on distorted thoughts, because it comes from thinking, right? So distorted thinking, and that's called cognitive distortions in my field, and it usually comes in a way of storytelling. And so it's, you make up stories, so then you start, oh my gosh, that person didn't talk to me because of blah 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 reason, right? Or mind reading, like, they don't like me, I can sense it, I can hear it, I can almost, like, in my head, tell that they don't want me. Fortune telling, knowing what's going to happen in the future, you're making up stories about what's going to happen in the future. All or nothing thinking, like, where it's either this or that, there's no grayness in life. So you're starting to create all these spirals. There's emotional reasoning, there's jumping to conclusions, there's shoulds and shouldn'ts. There's all kinds of negative self-talk that we can start and spiral down this rabbit hole of an unhealthy existence in our mind. Then there's the positive. The positive is our internal cheerleader. I have a cartoon in my kitchen. It's been there for, I think, 23 years.
I love that.
And it says, there's a client lying in their therapist's couch, and it says, do I have to get rid of all the voices in my head? One of them really gets me. And that, I for me, it would be like your internal cheerleader, your internal motivator, your internal coach. It's the one that tells you, you can do this, you've got this, the one that helps you through things. Yeah. So, there is a positive and there is a negative.
I love that. And I think regarding the negative self-talk, right? Something that my therapist told me a couple of years ago, and also same thing with one of my really close friends, and she shared that with me, and you would be able to answer that too, that all thoughts are not facts, right? That was ingrained in my head, right?
Yeah.
When it comes to negative thoughts, of course, you want to reinforce the positive affirmations and positive self-talk.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the thoughts, imagine we believed everything we say about ourselves, especially the ones that we keep repeating, right? Because I have this example to give about the self-talk. So a couple of weeks ago, I did this abs challenge in June, so last month. And I was like, I'm going to do abs every single day for 30 days, where I did the challenge. And I did most of the days. I would say 26 out of 30 days. It was pretty good. Thank you.
I'll be your external cheerleader for that.
I love that. But let me tell you, the second week, I couldn't really see much of a difference, right? I was like, I've been working out for months, right? I've been trying to eat healthy, and I'm doing all the ab workouts I can, right? And then I was so highly critical of myself. And then I heard this other voice at the same time. It's like, no, you're almost there. You got this. You haven't even completed your 30-day challenge yet, and you're already thinking about that you don't see results,
Yeah,
right?
your cheerleader, your motivator. In internal family systems, it's
Yeah.
it's a type of therapy that's really prominent right now. It's where they sort of take like family therapy, where there's a different roles that different play in their lives. That we have internal voices, which is internal personalities, and if really we all do, right? And so there's the protector, there is there are different ones. I'm not going to dive all into them that come out. So, they would be, your inner cheerleader at that point, or the inner motivator. But the sad thing is a lot of us, have that internal bully that we're worse to ourselves than we would be to anybody. If we talk to other people the way we talk to ourselves, we probably wouldn't have any friends.
Yeah.
Right.
So true.
Because where it stems from the way we were talked to, the way our expectations were held. We're younger, so you're playing this whole script through your head all the time, and there you go. But then you get the healthy cheerleader that says, you got this, you can do it.
Yeah.
So there's that thing. I believe what we think about, we get about.
Yeah, 100%. And like about the example that I shared earlier, that evening I was feeling so shitty about myself. And then when I just changed the way I was talking to myself instantly, and also self-care comes in there, right? And we talked about it in one of our other episodes.
Yeah.
I literally took some time and just hung out in my backyard, and I was surrounded by nature, and I read my book, I wrote affirmations, and I just chilled with my dog. And honestly, that was one of the other factors too. And the way I talked. And the next morning when I was at the gym, I was like, I am so sexy. I feel so good about myself. And this thing right here that I'm working on is going to be gone very soon. So, and that just changed. It was like an instant switch. Yeah, it took me a couple of things to do, like self-care that I mentioned.
We're going to get to that switch. We're going to get eventually to that switch, as where it was going, because I have some exercises for that switch, and it's switch.
Yeah.
Right? It's switching, reframing, switching how you're talking to yourself. So you can go from something that's unhealthy, something that's not effective, to healthy, effective thinking. And we'll get to that.
I think my question here would be, because I wasn't feeling the most confident when the way I was talking to myself, especially negatively, right? So I think my next question to you is, how does our self-talk really impact our confidence and our self-esteem, our overall personal growth?
Well, I'm going to go to even further how it actually affects our physiology.
Wow, I love that. Let's talk about it.
This is a lot of new research that's been done, and we have talked about this as well, you and I, how when we're speaking, first of all, I'm going to say, I really, really wish people understood how important their words are.
So true, yeah.
Whether their external voices being used or their internal voices being used. So, we're not going to talk about the external. We're going to go to the internal now. And the internal voices, I really want people to understand that now there's so much evidence out there that what you are saying, not only are you building the neural pathways, as we're saying, to, ways that are effective and healthy way of living and thinking, and parts of the, neural pathways to parts of you that are unhealthy, that, could make depression worse, could make you more anxious, more worrisome, all that. But now we know it actually is affecting our health. And when you are spiraling down the rabbit hole of unhealthy self-talk, you start to build resentment towards people, like, what is it? We're saying storytelling or mind reading or fortune telling, saying that person's not talking to me because of this, and I hate them because of that. And then you start to build the story and the narrative and this and that and this and that. And then you start to build resentment and anger. And what they have found now is, through different researches, is unresolved negative emotions breed different physiological outcomes in your body. Something like high blood pressure, heart and stroke disease, arthritis, and even cancers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is profound that you just mentioned. Yeah. And like I read this somewhere, you can maybe dive deeper into this, about even the way you talk to the plants. Like, I've read about this
Yeah,
so
yeah,
much,
yeah,
and
yeah.
of course that would matter to how we're talking to ourselves. Like even in terms of, let's say there was an experiment done where someone was talking negatively to one plant and then positively to another one, and then the plant died, the one where we were talking negatively, and then there was like a plant flourishing with beautiful flowers when every day someone would talk to that plant,
Yeah, and
in a
they've done that.
positive
We've done
way.
that with rice. They've done that with water. They've done it. There's,
Yes.
you can Google any of that, but looping back to ourselves
Hmm.
and the way we talk to ourselves, we can really work ourselves up into a frenzy of hate
Mm,
or into a space of love.
I love that. Yeah. Even like, we touched on this earlier. You wouldn't talk to your best friend the way you talk to yourself. So teach
No.
yourself,
Yeah.
talk to yourself like you would talk to your best friend,
Yeah.
right? I think that is
So
another.
there's a
Yeah.
strategy.
Yeah.
Actually, there's a lot of research out there, and there's some
Hmm.
really great books about self talk, and a lot of the some of the really great strategies are talking to yourself exactly the way you would talk to someone else.
Yeah.
So the way you would give advice, you just take a moment, distance yourself from
Yeah.
your actual self, your mind from yourself, and vision yourself as somebody else. So it's called distancing.
Okay.
And then giving yourself the advice you would give to someone that you truly love and you want them to succeed. Talking to yourself in the third person
Mm,
is also a way of distancing, and to be able to take yourself out of that negative self-talk chatter and be able to talk to yourself in a way that you're your cheerleader, your motivator, like the coach you've always wanted to have,
mm-hmm.
right? A few other ways are when you're in your self talk is to find someone, this is very important, that
Okay.
you talk to that's not going to spiral down the rabbit hole with you.
I love that.
That
Yeah.
someone that's going to sit and listen, give you the space you need, because venting connects people together.
Mm-hmm.
But then they're ready to help you climb out of the rabbit hole rather than pull you in down deeper. If you're
Mm.
noticing you're around people who bring you down deeper into hate, into resentment, with gossip, with whatever, and we all want our friends to say, yeah, that person sucks, this is a,
100%.
but what
You
happens is
feel
that
good, right? You
actually
feel
you
better.
actually we're leaving worse.
Yeah. No, I
Actually,
know,
you
but
do.
like,
You
no,
feel
yeah.
you're looking for that connection. What happens is you feel worse when you leave because you're still in a dark space.
So true.
So it's
Yeah.
like you're in a dark space. I want you to imagine being into a room. If you're bringing more darkness in, you're never going to see the light. You want
Yeah.
someone to come in with a match or a flashlight to be a better,
Mhm.
right? Or their phone, and then to be able to find where the switch is to turn on the lights and find the light
I
in the
100%
darkness.
agree. And I was just saying, with some people, I think when they don't have that awareness, they feel better because someone is relating to them. They're
Mm-hmm.
confirming their beliefs in the
Mm-hmm.
way of talking, right? So when you light the match and you shine the light,
Yeah.
sometimes you might be the bad person, but if they're ready to grow later on and they know that those thoughts and their
Yeah.
topics are not really serving them, I
Yeah.
think that
So
is profound
it
too.
starts to again switch. We're
Yes.
talking
Yeah.
your self-talk that's unhealthy, even negative and positive. But we're in black and white.
Yes.
Negative and positive. It's more like what's healthy and what's not healthy.
Yes.
What is helpful and what is not helpful? Is this self-talk I'm participating in healthy for me, helpful for me? Is it going to find a solution for what's going on? Right? Sometimes we just need to vent, and that's great to call a friend and say, I'm going to vent, and call the right friend.
Yes.
Call the right friend, not the one's going to like go, really? Oh, and then, dig deeper and deeper, and then you get buried in it's like quicksand, right? So let's just work though. Sorry, you were asking before about a way to help yourself.
Yes,
Right?
I think you were touching on the different strategies and techniques that you would recommend from transforming negative self-talk to positive self-talk and more empowering self-talk.
So we were talking about the switching. So I've given a few, but another one that I really love that neutralizes, because sometimes you're not even ready to go to the healthy because you're just your chatter is so distorted and so unhealthy, and it's causing you to worry and anxiety. And worry is usually when we're in our past.
Yes.
And anxiety is usually when we're in our future, so people can understand that. But a good one is just touching your body.
Okay.
Just touching your body and get to your second brain. I love the second brain,
yes.
your tummy, right? And just saying, I am. I am. I am. I am. So what you're doing is becoming present. You're not thinking about anything else. You're thinking about your breathing in. You're thinking about saying "I am," and then you're just touching your body in this part here in your gut, just calming yourself down. It's just like when a child's not feeling well, what does mommy do? Give them a belly rub, right?
Yeah.
And then so whatever it is, I get them to picture my clients a big stop sign. Stop. Take a breath. Observe what it is that's going on. So say like I'm stupid. Well, I love, kids use this. So I use this word because I worked in school and I've heard this often. Oh, Mrs. S, I'm stupid. So it's okay. Stop. Picture the stop sign. Take a breath. Observe the thought. Then you just go, I am, I am, I am, until you feel it neutralized. And then I like to go to the heart because I like to get to the heart, your emotion and what you're thinking together. And tapping is part of EFT.
Yes.
And tapping in
Yeah.
what you're going to change. Now we're going to switch. Like I am instead of stupid. What's the opposite of stupid? Smart or capable or empowered, whatever it is. And just say, I am smart, or I am empowered, or I got this, or whatever it is that works for you, because every person is different. Find
Yes.
your chatter that works and just do it until you can actually own it and just keep doing it. And if you need to go back, neutralize, do the stop sign. That's a really great technique. And
I love that.
Like I said, there's various techniques for various people because we're all unique, but that's a pretty common one that people can do.
Yeah, no, great advice and great tips. So let's say you are surrounded by people who need that support, and I think like this is a great way to start. But what are some other, support or encouragement that you can give in developing healthier self-talk patterns with others, right? Like I think you touched on giving the safe place for someone to vent, but let's say you don't have that space to give it to someone, right? And the other person is really needing that space from you, but you don't have the capacity yourself because you're dealing with your own internal stuff, right? And I think boundaries really come in there. Would you say, is there any other way to say it nicely? Hey, I don't have the capacity to listen to you, but this person comes to you all the time. Because I can relate to some situations where I found myself not being centered, but let's say a few of my friends come to me for advice, or a few people come to me for advice, but then I am dealing with it my own too stuff, right? So any strategy or tip that you have for someone when it comes to just, dealing with it when you're also dealing with it?
So just so I understand the question, it's more about how do you say, I don't have space to help you, or is it how can I help someone?
I think both.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we'll start with how can I help someone,
Yes.
which is, when a friend or a loved one comes to you and they're like, this, and they just say, I want to vent. We're going to use that because it's such a common thing. Like this and this happened. I'm trying to understand, why would they do this to me? Why would this happen? And they're just venting. I needed to get off my chest. So remember I said, find the right people to talk to, become the person that's healthy for them to talk to by not co-ruminating with them. Not digging the hole deeper.
Got it.
So, avoid the gossiping, avoid the making it worse, avoid making it whatever their self chatter is that's negative, avoid going into that.
Okay.
Just give them the space to vent and just say, okay, so now, this is what I hear. And, maybe you could draw on a time in your life where, you had a solution to that. Or in the future, how is this going to look for you? That's when it's going to be healthy. So get them to distance themselves, like we had said earlier, right? And coach them the way we all know the right thing to say. Find the right thing to say where you're coaching them, and use facts, because people will just that's when we're saying about the storytelling, mind reading, all that. Say the facts are this, right? So maybe we focus on the facts. So just sort of not co-ruminating. Now, if we're talking about boundaries, and this person keeps coming to you, and you don't have the space for it. This is unique per situation.
Yes.
But I believe a healthy space would be like, I hear you. Say they're coming to you. Oh, this is a great example. They're coming to you and they're talking about the other. You're in a friend group, and they're always talking about somebody else, right? So and so is this, so and so is that, or they're saying this about you, they're saying that about you, right? you could just turn around and you could really easily say, what they're saying about me is none of my business.
Yeah.
Right? What matters is what you're doing when you're with them and what we're doing together. This isn't something that's helping our conversation evolve. Right? Or
Yeah.
you know, like, I hear you say this. However, I think maybe you should find someone that can really help you work with this, because I'm not equipped to work with this. You know?
Absolutely love it. Yeah. And any other great quick tips that you have for the listeners on, could it be maybe mindfulness practices, or I think we always talk about nature walks, anything like to get us out of our head right away, or
for self-talk, first of all, again, I'm going to really impress here how important your words are, right?
Yes.
So to start becoming aware of the words that you're using internally and externally, and knowing that every word that you use takes space. And so coming from a healing, loving space.
I love that.
Right. So, when you're given the space to talk, whether it's through a text message or, with other people, or even especially to yourself, ask yourself, how is this healing me? How is this helping me? And do the stop sign. We're all see stop sign. From your time you're a little kid, you can relate to a stop sign. Like, stop when you're finding yourself going down the hill or spiraling down the hole. Picture a stop sign, and really, it's really easy. S, stop. T, take a breath. O, observe, and proceed in a way that's healthy and effective for you. Yeah. And if you can't even get that, like touching your body, touching something, and saying, I'm touching my knee, and it brings you to the present moment, and then you can go to the stop sign and move forward from that.
Yeah. Thank you. And that was really great. Maria, I have one more question before we end. You talked about ruminating, co-ruminating, self-talk. What is that? Could you dive a little deeper into that?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. Co-ruminating, as we said before, is when, someone calls you or you call them, and you notice that they're causing more of a spiral downwards, right? Now, ruminating is the same idea, but you don't need anybody else. You got your voices in your head doing this. So you're ruminating on the thoughts. So you're making it worse. You're like living in your thoughts rather than living in your life. And you notice this when you're so disconnected. You become disconnected at work. You're doing your work, and then you're like, oh, what is it that I'm working on? What am I doing? Because you're living in your head. You're not living in your life presently. And so, you notice that your work starts to suffer because you're not really focused on your work. You notice that your relationships suffer because you're not present in your relationship. It's like your spouse, your friend, or whatever, they're talking, they're telling you their life story, or they're telling you a funny joke, or whatever they're sharing. And you're so in your head about whatever it is that's unhealthy, you're lost, that you're not present. So you see that that suffering. So, you start to, accidents happen. So you just notice that when you're ruminating, when you're really living in your mind space that's unhealthy and you're spiraling, you're really unable to be present in anything in your life. So you start to see a lot of your life, aspects of your life, start to suffer.
Yeah,
that was a really great question.
Thank you. No, that's a great explanation.
Yeah.
I think I wanted to really understand that, what you meant. So thank you
for asking.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Now we're at the end of the episode, and I really enjoyed having Maria on the show once again. And thank you once again, Maria, for taking out time to be with us today.
It's always my pleasure. The more we work together to help bringing healing into the world, the better the world will be.
110%. Thank you, Maria.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode all about self-talk. And don't forget to leave a comment below. Ask us any questions that you would like us to answer. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And also share this episode with someone that you really, really care about. And I'm going to leave you guys with this, like I always do, sending you a lot of love and positive vibes. Take care. See you next time.